Most people see these Susan B. Anthony dollars as ordinary coins, but experienced collectors know the biggest secrets are hidden in the smallest details. In this investigation, you'll discover what separates common examples from the coins that serious collectors pursue, and why authentication, condition, and rarity can make all the difference. First coin. The 1979 P. Susan B. Anthony dollar is one of those coins that many Americans have handled without a second thought, yet it continues to surprise collectors decades after it first entered circulation. At first glance, it seems like an ordinary small dollar with little to distinguish it from millions of others produced during its debut year. However, the deeper researchers look into this coin, the more fascinating details begin to emerge. Tiny differences in strike quality, die preparation, surface preservation, and even subtle design characteristics can dramatically influence how collectors evaluate a specific example. As this story unfolds, you'll discover why certain authenticated pieces have realized remarkable prices at major auctions, while countless others remain common pocket change. And you'll see how professional grading, rarity, and collector demand combine to determine the true market value of individual coins. The story begins during a period when the United States Mint was searching for a practical replacement for the large Eisenhower dollar. Throughout the 1970s, inflation, changing consumer habits, and the growing popularity of paper currency encouraged government officials to introduce a smaller dollar coin that would be easier to carry and more economical to produce. Congress approved a new design honoring Susan B. Anthony, the pioneering advocate for women's suffrage, whose lifelong efforts helped reshape American history. The Philadelphia Mint struck the 1979 P issue as part of the inaugural production year, making it historically significant as the first circulating U.S. coin to portray an actual American woman rather than an allegorical figure. More than 360 million circulation strikes were produced at Philadelphia, making it by far the largest contributor to the first-year mintage. Although the quantity was enormous, the launch faced an unexpected obstacle because the coin's size and color closely resembled the quarter, causing confusion among consumers and limiting widespread acceptance in everyday commerce. Physically, the coin reflects several engineering decisions intended to balance durability with practicality. It is composed of an outer-clad layer of copper and nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving it the familiar silvery appearance shared with many modern circulating coins. Each piece weighs 8.1 grams, measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge designed to discourage counterfeiting while providing a distinctive feel in the hand. The obverse, created by chief engraver Frank Gasparo, presents a right-facing portrait of Susan B. Anthony based on historical references and photographs, accompanied by the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 1979. On circulation strikes from Philadelphia, no mint mark appears because the facility did not use a P mint mark on circulating dollar coins that year. The reverse retains the familiar Apollo 11 mission insignia originally introduced on the Eisenhower dollar, showing an eagle descending toward the lunar surface while clutching an olive branch, with Earth visible in the distance. Encircling the design are United States of America, $1, and EPLUBUS UNUM, preserving a symbolic connection between the nation's achievements in space exploration and its circulating coinage. Although millions entered commerce, relatively few survived in exceptional condition because the Susan B. Anthony dollar proved especially susceptible to contact marks during the minting and distribution process. Freshly struck coins were dumped into large bins, transporting in heavy canvas bags, and shipped to Federal Reserve banks, where repeated impacts left countless nicks, abrasions, and surface disturbances before they ever reached circulation. This explains why mint state examples displaying strong luster, clean fields, and sharply defined design details become increasingly scarce at higher certification levels. Collectors carefully evaluate the sharpness of Anthony's hair, the texture of the eagle's feathers, the clarity of the lettering, and the overall brilliance of the surfaces when determining quality. While circulated examples remain readily available, certified mint state pieces graded around MS-65 or MS-66 can command several $100s. and exceptional examples that reach higher certified grades often move into the range of approximately $1,200 to $2,000 when eye appeal, strike quality, and market demand align. Those figures represent carefully preserved coins evaluated by respected grading services rather than typical circulation finds. Among specialists, one of the most discussed aspects of the 1979 P dollar involves die varieties, particularly the famous wide rim or near-date variety. During the first year of production, different obverse hubs created noticeable variations in the spacing between the rim and the date. On the wide rim variety, the numerals sit much closer to the edge, leaving noticeably less empty space than on the more common narrow rim version. Identifying the difference requires careful observation, but experienced collectors can often recognize it with a simple magnifier once they know what to examine. Because far fewer wide rim examples were produced, authenticated high-grade specimens are considerably more desirable. Certified mint state wide rim dollars frequently sell in the neighborhood of $2,500 to $4,000 when outstanding preservation and strong eye appeal accompany the variety designation. Meanwhile, exceptionally preserved narrow rim examples can still attract significant premiums if they represent the finest known quality for their certification level, demonstrating that rarity and condition often work together rather than independently. The grading process itself plays a decisive role in determining value, and this is where many beginning collectors underestimate the importance of professional evaluation. Independent services such as PCGS and NGC examine every aspect of a coin before assigning a numerical grade on the internationally recognized Sheldon scale from 1 through 70. For modern clad coins, like the 1979 P. Susan B. Anthony dollar, even a single distracting mark in a focal area can prevent a coin from achieving the elite grades sought by registry set collectors. Specialists also distinguish between ordinary circulation strikes and proof issues produced at San Francisco, ensuring that no confusion exists between different finishes or manufacturing methods. Unlike copper coins, this series does not receive brown, or red color designations because of its clad composition, but surface brilliance, original mint luster, and attractive tunning remain important considerations. Coins displaying vibrant peripheral rainbow tunning created through natural long-term storage occasionally attract additional collector interest, although originality is always valued far more than artificial enhancement. Authentication protects buyers against cleaned, polished, altered, or counterfeit pieces that might otherwise appear convincing to inexperienced collectors. Mint errors introduce another fascinating layer to the story because genuine production mistakes are far scarcer than internet rumors often suggest. Authentic off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, multiple strikes, retained cuds, and dramatic die breaks are all known within the Susan B. Anthony series, but each requires expert examination before being accepted as a legitimate mint product. More subtle errors such as doubled dies, repunched design elements, or significant die deterioration can also generate collector interest when properly documented. The popularity of the series has unfortunately encouraged counterfeiters to alter common coins or fabricate non-existent varieties, making careful authentication increasingly important. Collectors should examine edge construction, weight, diameter, magnetic response, surface texture, and microscopic design details before assuming that an unusual-looking coin represents a valuable discovery. Preservation matters just as much after acquisition. Coins should be handled only by the edges, stored in inert archival holders or certified slabs, protected from humidity and harsh chemicals, and never cleaned in an attempt to improve appearance. Even gentle polishing permanently damages original surfaces and can dramatically reduce both collector confidence and market value. Today, the 1979 P. Susan B. Anthony dollar occupies a unique position within American numismatics because it bridges modern circulating coinage with serious registry collecting. Its historical significance, enormous mintage, challenging condition rarity, important wide rim variety, and occasional spectacular mint errors continue to attract collectors at every experience level. Auction records demonstrate that ordinary circulated pieces and extraordinary certified examples exist in completely different markets, and the highest realized prices belong only to coins whose rarity, preservation, authentication, and certification place them among the finest known survivors. Some elite registry quality examples with exceptional grades or highly desirable authenticated varieties have achieved auction results well beyond normal collector expectations, illustrating how dramatically quality influences value. For anyone examining a 1979 P. Susan B. Anthony dollar today, the essential lesson remains unchanged. The date alone never determines worth. Instead, every important factor, including authenticity, variety attribution, strike quality, surface preservation, certification, and current collector demand, must be evaluated together before any realistic assessment of market value can be made. Next coin. The 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar occupies a fascinating place in modern American coin collecting because it is one of those coins that can appear ordinary at first glance while quietly hiding characteristics that serious collectors study with remarkable attention. Millions of Americans encountered this small dollar during its brief period of circulation, often mistaking it for a quarter and spending it without hesitation. Yet decades later, carefully preserved examples have become the focus of registry set competitors, variety specialists, and numismatic historians who understand that not every surviving coin tells the same story. Tiny differences in preservation, strike quality, originality, and certification can transform what seems like a common coin into an exceptionally desirable collectible. As this documentary unfolds, you'll discover why certain authenticated examples have achieved impressive results in the collector market, what separates ordinary survivors from elite specimens, and how experienced numismatists evaluate every detail before assigning meaningful value to a 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar. To understand why this coin exists, it is necessary to return to the economic climate of the late 1970s. The United States was experiencing persistent inflation, rising production costs, and growing interest in replacing the large Eisenhower dollar with a more practical circulating coin. Government officials hoped that a smaller dollar would encourage wider public use while reducing manufacturing and transportation expenses. Congress approved a new design honoring Susan B. Anthony, whose leadership in the women's suffrage movement permanently shaped American history. Her appearance on the nation's circulating coinage represented a historic milestone, making her the first real American woman depicted on a regularly circulating United States coin rather than a symbolic representation of liberty. The Denver Mint joined Philadelphia and San Francisco in producing the inaugural issue during 1979, striking approximately 288 million circulation pieces bearing the distinctive D Mint mark beneath the date. Despite the ambitious expectations surrounding the new dollar, its similarity in size, color, and weight to the Washington quarter created widespread confusion among the public, limiting everyday acceptance almost from the beginning. Examining the coin closely reveals the careful balance between artistic symbolism and practical engineering that define the series. Like other circulation strikes of the period, the 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar is composed of outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core, producing its familiar silver-colored appearance while maintaining durability for circulation. Each coin weighs 8.1 grams, measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge intended both as a traditional security feature and as a tactile distinction from lower denominations. Chief engraver Frank Gasparo designed both sides of the coin. The obverse presents a dignified right-facing portrait of Susan B. Anthony surrounded by liberty, "In God We Trust," and the date, with the small D Mint mark identifying production at the Denver Mint. The reverse preserves the celebrated Apollo 11 mission emblem originally introduced on the Eisenhower dollar, showing an eagle descending toward the lunar surface while holding an olive branch, with Earth rising beyond the horizon. This imagery symbolized peace achieved through scientific accomplishment, connecting one of America's greatest technological achievements with the nation's circulating coinage. Although the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of examples, collectors quickly learned that mintage alone never determines rarity. What truly distinguishes desirable 1979 D dollars is the quality in which they survive today. During production, newly struck coins were released into large containers where repeated impacts with other coins produced countless contact marks before the pieces ever entered circulation. Additional wear accumulated through banking, transportation, vending machines, casinos, and everyday commerce. As a result, pristine mint state examples with booming original luster, minimal abrasions, and sharply defined design details are dramatically scarcer than the raw production numbers might suggest. Professional graders closely inspect Antony's portrait for uninterrupted frost, examine the eagle's feathers for complete definition, evaluate the brilliance across the open fields, and study the rims for signs of weakness or handling. Coins that retain exceptional eye appeal while avoiding distracting marks become increasingly difficult to locate as certification grades climb into the upper mint state levels, creating meaningful distinctions between coins that otherwise appear nearly identical to casual observers. This difference in preservation becomes especially important once collector values enter the discussion. Most circulated 1979 D Susan B. Anthony dollars remain inexpensive because they are readily available and were produced in enormous quantities. The market changes dramatically, however, when authenticated coins achieve elite mint state grades from respected grading services such as PCGS or NGC. Registry collectors seeking the finest certified examples compete intensely for coins displaying extraordinary luster, strong strikes, clean surfaces, and exceptional originality. Certified coins reaching grades such as MS-67 can sometimes realize prices around $1,350 to $2,100, depending on current market demand and overall eye appeal. In especially competitive auctions, superb examples approaching the finest known population have sold for considerably more, but those results represent only a tiny fraction of surviving coins. Such premiums are driven by scarcity within the highest certified grades rather than by the date or mint mark alone, reminding collectors that authentication, preservation, and grading remain the foundation of meaningful market value. Unlike the Philadelphia issue, the Denver Mint does not have a single famous major variety comparable to the widely recognized 1979 P-wide rim. Researchers continue to study minor die characteristics and normal production variations, but no equally important Denver circulation variety has achieved the same level of universal acceptance among specialists. That reality shifts collector attention towards strike quality, surface preservation, and legitimate mint errors instead of major hub varieties. Genuine off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die breaks, and certain double die varieties have been documented within the Susan B. Anthony series, although each individual coin requires professional attribution before any premium can be justified. Collectors should remain cautious because online marketplaces frequently advertise ordinary die deterioration or post-mint damage as rare errors. Authentic mint errors exhibit specific production characteristics that experienced numismatists recognize immediately, while altered or damaged coins generally fail professional authentication. The absence of sensational varieties does not diminish the importance of the 1979 D issue. Instead, it emphasizes how condition rarity alone can create extraordinary collector demand. Authentication and preservation therefore become essential responsibilities for anyone fortunate enough to own an unusually attractive example. Reputable grading companies verify authenticity while examining strike quality, originality, luster, and surface preservation under magnification before assigning an official Sheldon numerical grade from 1 through 70. Because the coin is copper-nickel clad rather than solid copper, traditional brown, red-brown, or red color classifications do not apply, although naturally developed tunning and vibrant mint luster remain highly desirable characteristics. Collectors should never attempt to clean, polish, brighten, or chemically treat a Susan B. Anthony dollar, since such actions permanently damage the original surfaces and usually reduce collector value regardless of how attractive the coin may appear afterward. Proper storage involves handling coins only by their edges, using inert archival holders or professionally sealed certification slabs, maintaining stable humidity, and avoiding exposure to corrosive materials or excessive heat. Counterfeit examples are less common than with classic gold or silver coins, but altered mint marks, deceptive surface treatments, and counterfeit certification holders have appeared in the marketplace, making purchases from reputable sources an important safeguard. Today, the 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar stands as a remarkable reminder that modern coins can develop sophisticated collector markets rooted in quality rather than simple age. Its historical importance, as part of the nation's first circulating small dollar program, its connection to one of America's most influential reformers, and the challenge of locating virtually flawless survivors continue to attract advanced collectors decades after its release. Auction records consistently demonstrate that ordinary circulated examples occupy an entirely different market from authenticated registry-quality coins, and the strongest prices are reserved only for exceptional pieces with superior grades, outstanding originality, and unquestioned authenticity. Some of the finest certified 1979 D dollars have realized auction prices well above the range seen for typical mint state examples, but those remarkable results belong exclusively to elite condition survivors verified by professional grading services. Ultimately, the enduring appeal of this coin lies not in the fact that millions were produced, but in the surprisingly small number that escaped decades of handling with nearly perfect surfaces intact, allowing them to become prized representatives of one of the most historically significant modern dollar series in American numismatics. Last coin. At first glance, the 1980 Susan B. Anthony dollar from Philadelphia seems almost too ordinary to deserve the attention it receives. It has the familiar silver-colored appearance of a modern-clad coin, a portrait that many Americans recognize, and a size that has confused people with quarters since the day it entered circulation. Yet experienced collectors rarely judge this coin by first impressions. Instead, they begin a careful investigation, studying details that most people overlook entirely. A closer look at the surfaces, the sharpness of the design, the quality of the strike. And even the smallest production characteristics can reveal why one example is simply a circulated dollar while another becomes an important collectible. As we examine this coin together, you'll discover how authenticated examples earn the respect of advanced collectors, why certain pieces have realized remarkable auction results, and what separates an exceptional survivor from the millions of ordinary examples that once moved through everyday commerce. Before examining the coin itself, one important historical detail deserves clarification because it often causes confusion. Although people frequently refer to a 1980p Susan B. Anthony dollar, regular Philadelphia circulation strikes dated 1980 do not carry a visible P mint mark. Philadelphia did not place a mint mark on circulating Susan B. Anthony dollars during that period. If a 1980 circulation coin appears to have a P near Susan B. Anthony's shoulder, it should be examined very carefully because it could represent post-mint alteration, damage, or confusion with another issue rather than a normal Philadelphia circulation strike. Professional authentication is essential whenever an unusual mint mark is suspected. The Philadelphia Mint, nevertheless, played a major role in producing the 1980 issue, striking more than 27 million circulation dollars during the coin's second year, a dramatic reduction from the enormous production of 1979 as public demand for the small dollar quickly declined. Holding the coin under proper lighting begins to reveal why collectors spend so much time studying even modern issues. The Susan B. Anthony dollar is composed of outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving it the familiar clad construction used on many modern American coins. It weighs 8.1 grams, measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge that provides both security and a traditional appearance. Frank Gasparo designed both sides of the coin. The obverse presents Susan B. Anthony facing right beneath Liberty, accompanied by In God W.E. Trust and the date 1980. The reverse continues the Apollo 11 mission emblem first introduced on the Eisenhower dollar, depicting an eagle descending toward the moon while carrying an olive branch, with Earth suspended in the background. Every line and contour serves both artistic and symbolic purposes, celebrating one of America's greatest scientific achievements while honoring one of its most influential advocates for equal voting rights. The investigation becomes even more interesting once we consider how these coins were actually manufactured. Blank planchets were punched from clad metal strips, annealed, cleaned, upset to create raised rims, and then struck under tremendous pressure between hardened dies. Even though the mint employed modern production methods, every striking operation introduced small variations. Some coins emerged with crisp lettering, sharply defined hair strands, and fully detailed eagle feathers, while others displayed softer strikes caused by normal die wear or slight variations in striking pressure. After striking, the coins were released into large storage bins where they collided repeatedly before being bagged and shipped. Those impacts produced countless contact marks, explaining why so many surviving examples, even coins that never truly circulated, show abrasions across the highest points of the design. When experienced collectors inspect a 1980 Philadelphia dollar, they first evaluate the date, then confirm the absence of a mint mark, followed by the quality of the strike, the brightness of the original mint luster, the cleanliness of the fields, and the overall eye appeal. These characteristics become critically important when discussing collector value because the market rewards preservation far more than simple availability. Most circulated 1980 Philadelphia Susan B. Anthony dollars remain common and generally trade close to face value. The situation changes dramatically when professionally certified mint state examples approach the highest grading levels. Coins graded MS-67 by respected services such as PCGS or NGC have sold in the approximate range of $1,300 to $2,300, depending on certification, eye appeal, and prevailing collector demand. Registry set collectors compete intensely for the finest surviving examples because population reports show that superbly preserved coins become increasingly scarce as grades climb. The difference between an average mint state coin and an elite example may consist of only a handful of microscopic marks, stronger luster, or a noticeably sharper strike. Yet those subtle distinctions often determine whether collectors view a coin as ordinary or extraordinary. As our examination continues, attention naturally turns toward varieties and mint eras. Unlike the famous 1979 Philadelphia wide rim variety, the regular 1980 Philadelphia circulation issue is not known for a major hub variety that commands widespread recognition throughout the hobby. Genuine mint errors nevertheless exist within the Susan B. Anthony series, including authenticated off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, retained cuds, and certain double-die varieties that have been documented by specialists. These errors are uncommon and require careful attribution because ordinary die deterioration, machine doubling, or post-mint damage are frequently misidentified as valuable mint mistakes. Experienced collectors rely on established references and professional grading services before assigning premiums to unusual-looking coins. Extraordinary auction realizations involving dramatic authenticated errors reflect the rarity of those specific production mistakes and should never be interpreted as applying to every 1980 Philadelphia dollar. Professional grading and authentication form the foundation of confidence in today's market. Experts examine originality, strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and evidence of cleaning before assigning a numerical Sheldon grade from 1 through 70. Since the Susan B. Anthony dollar is a clad coin rather than a copper issue, traditional brown, and red color classifications are not applicable. Instead, specialists evaluate the brilliance of the original surfaces, the presence of natural tunning, and the consistency of the mint frost. Collectors should be cautious of coins that appear unnaturally bright or mirror-like after polishing, because cleaning permanently alters the original finish and usually reduces collector interest. Anyone encountering a supposed 1980 Philadelphia coin with an added P mint mark should be particularly cautious, as altered coins occasionally appear in the marketplace. Careful measurements of weight, diameter, edge characteristics, and microscopic design details, combined with professional authentication, provide the safest path when uncertainty exists. By the end of this investigation, the true significance of the 1980 Philadelphia Susan B. Anthony dollar becomes much clearer. Its importance is not rooted in spectacular rarity or sensational legends, but in the challenge of finding exceptionally preserved survivors from a series that struggled in circulation and was often overlooked by the public. Collectors compete for coins that retain blazing original luster, nearly flawless surfaces, outstanding strikes, and unquestioned authenticity, because such examples represent only a tiny fraction of the original production. The strongest auction results belong exclusively to those elite certified specimens or to properly authenticated major mint errors, never to every coin dated 1980. That distinction explains why careful observation matters so much. Every detail, from the date and the absence of a Philadelphia mint mark on regular circulation, strikes to the sharpness of the lettering, the preservation of the fields, and the originality of the surfaces, contributes to a complete understanding of the coin. In modern American numismatics, the 1980 Philadelphia Susan B. Anthony dollar reminds us that even a seemingly ordinary coin can reward patient investigation with a remarkable story of history, craftsmanship, and collector dedication.